I wanted to share some of my ideas on how I use nature in my life. Some of them you probably haven't seen before, and let's just jump right into it. I do have a compost, but still I keep all these big seeds and grains that you will find in fruits and vegetables. It's kind of a shame that something that could become a plant is just thrown away. So I have a little bowl in my kitchen where I put them in. Mine is a coconut from a coconut ice cream, but of course you could also have a beautiful glass or something else for them. And when I go for a walk, I bring them in a little paper bag and throw them in the nature, where I sense that the nature is wild and that they will survive. I don't know how many of them will actually become a plant, but during a whole lifetime I maybe will plant hundreds of thousands of plants, with no effort and just enjoying doing it. I do the same with flowers. On these walks I sometimes make a flower bouquet, and as I showed in my garden video, I hang them upside down to dry. It decorates the terrace, and some of the seeds I throw in my garden, and I have had some beautiful wildflowers like these you see here in my garden. Look at these big white daisies that came one year. I love the daisy flower. One year we saved a lot of puppies. Most of the seeds would have fallen down on the asphalt and would probably not have been able to grow somewhere. So we took the seeds back home with us. And like with the flower bouquets, when we have many of them, we take out the seeds and put them in either an envelope and write on it how the flower looked like, the color and so on, or make a mix of all of them and put them in a paper bag to spread in the nature somewhere. I love the idea that the nature gave me a flower bouquet, and now I give the earth the seeds back so new flowers can come up. And so the cycle is going on. We cut some of these plants in the garden and put them in a glass of water. After a couple of weeks, they have made their own roots. I find it just so cute and amazing. This little trick is one I adore because it's really practical and no waste. We don't have paper towels at our home for an ecological reason. We do have tissue towels, but when I have really greasy pans or the stove, I use leaves, usually from my wild area next to the terrace. In that way I don't get a really dirty sponge that I have to rinse, and it's using a lot of water and soap. And I have these leaves all year round, and can either throw them back in the nature or just in the compost in the kitchen before washing the stove now with a real sponge and soap. I also use the leaves for other things where I don't really want to use a sponge, like my kitchen bucket that I use as a water collector, and sometimes also put tea inside, which makes the bucket look really dirty. If you wonder what it is, this bucket system, I made a whole video about it called How to Save a Lot of Water. Very quickly is about not only having water collectors outside but also inside. I have a bucket in the bathroom for when we are waiting for the water to get hot enough for a shower, and one in the kitchen when I wash fruits and vegetables. We use it for watering the garden or flush the toilet. as I already mentioned, we of course have a compost. The bucket in the kitchen is actually a bucket that contains some paint materials. I recycle it as a compost bucket. I then empty it in the big compost in the back of the garden behind the garden shelter. Against the garden shelter, I leave all the branches I cut in the garden, thin or big. We use it for making a fire for the barbecue. Like that, I don't have to buy coal in the supermarket. I don't have to go to the recycling center with all the branches, and it's just so much more cozy with a real fire, and it smells so good. At the end of the summer there is not much branches left, but then autumn and spring is coming where we and the neighbors are cutting bushes and trees, and the stock gets full again, ready for the summer to come. And to hold all this wood, I recycle our old Christmas trees. Our neighbor used one to fix a sculpture she made out of driftwood, and as I showed in my Christmas video, I also made a little tree out of them, so you can be creative in many ways with them. As I have shown in many videos, I love to use the nature for my home decor. Stones, driftwood, leaves, chestnut, seashells, and also this high grass you may find on the side of a road. I have so much of it outside my house that you see in the background. I used one of my homemade rubber bands that I showed in my previous video about recycling broken things. They're really good for this because they're easy to tighten when the grass is drying and getting thinner and thinner. It only takes about 2 weeks for a bouquet like this to dry. Just turn it around after 1 week so the other side also gets the sun and light. And this bouquet is actually 2 years old now. Last but not least, we have a lot of dead leaves that I use for my dry toilet that I have here in the garden. We are only renters here, so I couldn't make one inside the house, but actually use both of them all year round. I store all the leaves behind the garden shelter, and right now there's not much left. But spring is almost here, and I will soon collect all the leaves, and there will be enough until next spring. And so the cycle is going on. Whether recycling nature can be just for the joy and fun, or for a pure ecological reason, in the end they all have a positive impact on the planet. And the more people doing these things, the bigger the impact will become. It also gives you wonderful moments and contributes to the joy of slow living, giving you inner peace from the feeling to live in harmony with the nature and its cycles. Thank you so much for watching, and please support by subscribing. Thank you.